So, you want to know how to automate your progress. One thing that you need to do is eliminate decision fatigue, and that's what we'll talk about in today's call. So, if we look at the willpower myth, a lot of people thinks to get to where that you want to be in your fitness journey, you just need to have a lot of willpower. And willpower only works for so long, right? So for a lot of people, your willpower always falls off by 8 p.m., right? It's late at night, you get the craving to have a snack, you go into the pantry and you eat cookies and chips and whatever else that you can find, right? Now, 8 p.m. isn't an actual time that this actually happens, but late at night, typically people's willpower just seems to fall off, right? At this point, discipline should take over, but people treat discipline like it's an actual muscle that needs to always be turned on, right? But in reality, it's pretty similar to a fuel tank. So once it's empty, that discipline starts to, no pun intended, tank out, right? And so here is where managing that decision fatigue and taking all the guesswork out of what you need to be doing from a meal point or from a meal plan standpoint comes in. So every choice that you make has a cost, right? First and foremost, every decision that you think about that takes time out of your day, right? That is a cost, right? Whether that be in, time wasted, it makes you late for something, it takes you more time to do this, or if you maybe shift your initial thought process of what we're going to do to something else to save time. And in essence, every choice that you make has a cost to some degree. So first, we need to look at the cognitive load. So every decision that you make, from the clothes that you wear, you get up in the morning and your first thought is, man, I wonder, what I'm going to wear today, right? To how you type up an email to send, to your colleagues, all of this takes a toll, right? It takes a cost. This depletes your frontal cortex. So every day you essentially have a budget for your frontal cortex, right? If you're just constantly making decisions all day, if it's a very busy, a very stressful day for you, at the end of the day, if you've ever had one of those days, you know that you're just mentally fried, right? Well, at this point, you have used all of your daily budget, quote unquote, for your frontal cortex. So, with that budget, what we're really talking about there is you have a fixed amount of decision energy per day, right? And once that's gone, it's used up, that tank has ran empty. Your brain defaults to the path of least resistance, aka snacks and couch, right? If you specifically are, someone who is trying to meal prep, lose some body fat, gain some muscle, whatever the case may be, whatever that your goal may be, probably one of your biggest, thought processes during the day, if you're not using a meal plan, is what's next for lunch, right? What's next for dinner? Can I have this? Can I have that? And then you pull your phone out and you pull up your macro, calculator thing, and you try to figure out what you're going to eat for the day, right? Whereas on the other hand, if you have a set meal plan, there is no need for that, right? If it's 2 o'clock and you're like, it's time to eat, it's the same thing I eat every day, right? You just look at your notes, see what you have for that set time for that set meal, and you're good to go, right? There is no energy wasted, no time wasted from that because you already know what you're going to eat. Therefore, your decision fatigue is low, right? So that's one, kind of good thing to have that set meal plan is you don't even have to think about it. It's already there for you, right? And then another big thing is analysis paralysis. So the flexibility that you're giving yourself in your process is killing your gains. You need to quit thinking about it and just have a set plan. That's why, for me, still to this day, I have a coach. I don't want to have to keep thinking, oh, well, if I pull out 50 grams of this rice and I can sub it in for, I don't know, X amount of oats or a banana or, whatever the case may be, then I got to move this to over here, this to over here. Nope, I don't want any of that. I want to just be told what to do, make it the easiest, thing possible, and quit giving me choices. Because again, flexibility is really what's killing your gains. Now, you may argue with that and say, well, flexibility is what's keeping me on the plan, right? And for some people, yes, it is. But if you're an individual who has to change your food selections every single day, think about how exhausting that can be, right? Now, I'm a big believer of you using your macros and fitting things in that are obviously wholesome food, right? And making it to where it's enjoyable for you. But if you're having to do that every single day, again, exhausting, right? So the paradox to this is having infinite options, right? This leads to no action. If you're just like, oh, well, I could do this, this, and this, or I could do this, this, and this, right? Like, it's just too much. I would rather have, one or two options rather than 10 because every one of us is going to sound like it's better than the other, right? You have FOMO, fear of more options, right? So if you have to decide what to eat or what, a workout to do, um, you know, that day, you're three times more likely to skip it or again choose the path of least resistance, which typically leads to a poor option, which again is the easiest one. So again, if you meal prep and you meal prep your lunchtime, but you didn't do it that day, then what do? Go to Chick-fil-A, you go to McDonald's, you go to Hardee's, you do whatever the case, that's closest to you. And that's it's typically a poor option in comparison to what you typically do. So we need to look at friction versus flow. So every decision point that you come to throughout your day is a hurdle to where you can trip up and fall, right? So, but if you have everything automated to where, there is no thought process behind this, it's just, hey, meal number two is this, meal number three is this. When I go to the gym, I do X, Y, and Z. I have this amount of cardio every day. Like it removes the hurdles. There is no tripping up. You just follow it, right? And like for the set meal plans, when it comes to food, you just eat what's on the plan, right? There is no decision fatigue when it comes to that. And then we need to look at automating the big things. So you need to stop trying to decide, out of these 10 different options that you have and just pick one or two and just start executing. So number one is going to be a nutritional standardization. Don't decide what to eat for 3 or 4 meals a day. You standardize your first 3 meals, and if if that choice is already made for you, then that fatigue never sets in. So one thing that I have several clients that I can think of offhand right now is they do 4 meals a day. They have a breakfast, an early lunch, kind of a late afternoon meal, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock maybe is. And those are three set meals during the day. And then meal number four is a macro meal, right? So they can still enjoy dinner with their family, but it's not they're only having to decide on one meal that day instead of four, right? So again, like if their partner isn't very big into the health and fitness space, or taking care of themselves, or they have kids, right, that don't want to eat chicken and rice or beef and potatoes for all meals, right? That's where that macro meal can come in. So again, standardize your first 3 meals. If you can eat the same breakfast, if you can eat the same, mid morning snacker meal and then afternoon snacker meal, whatever the case may be, that meal number four can have a little bit of flexibility to it. And then you also need to look at your non-negotiable schedule. So if your workout is a maybe, and that is based on how you feel that day, 9 times out of 10, that decision fatigue is going to set in and it's going to win. You need to put that on the calendar as a pre-made decision. Now, you guys know that I'm very big on non-negotiables, right? A non-negotiable is something that you do every single day. It doesn't matter if it's Monday, Thursday, Sunday, if it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's hailing outside, if there's a flood, you do this every day, right? And a list of non-negotiables should be something like putting on deodorant, brushing your teeth at least twice a day, taking a shower, a bath, whatever the case may be, putting on clean clothes. These are non-negotiables that you're going to do every single day. And if you can fit this nutritional standardization and your, workout schedule into those non-negotiables, like truly you make them fit in there, you won't miss them. I mean, because yeah, maybe, I don't know, once every couple months, you might forget to brush your teeth one day, right? It happens, but it's not something that happens every single day, or it doesn't fall off because motivation falls off, right? But you brush your teeth because it's the right thing to do. You take a bath because it's the right thing to do. You put on deodorant because it's the right thing to do. So if you can get your workouts and your meal plan set into those non-negotiables, there's no way that you can fail. No way. And your environment also matters when it comes to this as well too. You need to outsmart your old, boring, repetitive, tired self, right? So again, you guys know that I'm big on auditing what you're doing, right, with everything. So look at it from a decision auditing standpoint. Look in your kitchen and look at your gym bag. Are you set up for the right choices? And is that the only choice, right? So like for me and my wife, we don't have kids. She eats pretty clean. I eat, pretty clean, obviously. There's no Doritos in this house. There's no Cheetos in this house. There's nothing that will get me in trouble, as far as like from an eating standpoint, right? So again, like I'm setting myself up to where that stuff's not in the house. So if I don't buy it, I don't eat it, right? Now, granted, I know it's a little different with kids and whatnot, and that does take a little bit more, willpower, things of that nature too. But again, I'm also a firm believer of, you know just because they're a kid doesn't mean that you should neglect their health and nutrition either. Right now, I'm not saying that you should never give them a Little Debbie or Cheetos because I promise you, I've ate my weight in fudge rounds as a kid. I did. But as you guys know, that today's society is a little bit different. I would eat a fudge round and then be outside all day, for 7, 8 hours at a time. Now they eat a fudge round and they sit on the couch with the screen in front of their face all day long, right? So again, doing things that will set you up is going to be, setting yourself up for success is the easiest option to do that. If we look at things like your gym bag, right? If you know that you get up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym in the morning, the easiest thing that you can do is the night before set your gym clothes out, your shoes, your bag, everything by the back door. All you have to do in the morning is wake up, brush your teeth, enter your daily weight into the scale, put your clothes on, maybe eat a little something, and you're out the door, right? There is no waking up, shining the phone, flashlight into the closet, trying not to wake your partner up, trying to find, something to wear. Just do it the night before. Set it out, make it easy, eliminate that decision fatigue. In this again, I kind of got a little ahead of myself here, but this eliminates the friction, right? If you already have it set out, there's no way that you can fail. It's right there. There is no decision fatigue. You already decided what you're going to wear, and you're going to wear it. Just is what it is. So really to make all this come together, it needs to be a systems over strengths. So willpower does not need to be something that you rely on every single day. Willpower is honestly for emergencies, right? Systems that you have in place to keep you on track is what's going to have is what's going to get your results, right? So if we look at it from a three-step automated plan, you need to audit first and foremost. Identify where you waver and where you fall off, right? If it's that 8, 9, 10 o'clock spot to where you're hungry at that point in time, look at the meal that you just ate. Maybe it needs to be a little beefier. Maybe it needs to have a little more fats in it, just to slow digestion down to where that you're not as hungry 2 or 3 hours later, right? Then we need to automate, make the decisions for the next day, the day before, right? So there is no, guesswork, right? I mean, if you prepare to fail, you will fail, right? If you prepare to win, you'll win. It's pretty straightforward and simple in that aspect. Like earlier today, I prepped chicken for tomorrow because I would be out, by the end of the day today. If I waited until tomorrow, to prep my chicken, I'd be behind, right? So again, I'm just trying to prepare myself for the next day. And the last thing is, standardize. Reduce your daily choices by as much as you can. I'm going to say at least, 50% to save energy for the things that actually matter, right? Now, granted, there are some things that you just can't, put on autopilot, and set once a week and just kind of forget about it, like a meal plan kind of thing. But things that you can do as far as like, having a workout schedule, a workout a routine, a set time that you're going to go get steps every day, a set meal plan, you can control those. And the more that you can, standardize them, the better. So, out of everything that we have talked about today, essentially, if you can eliminate that decision fatigue, you're going to set yourself up for more progress just because it takes the you part out of it, the thinking part out of it, the overthinker that you probably are out of the equation. And as long as you can read and write, and I'm sure that you can, you'll get to your results faster because you've automated that that process.